Close your eyes and imagine. What if the things in life that cause us the greatest pain, the things that bring us grief, are challenges? Challenges designed to help us grow, to ultimately become what we were always meant to be. We feel like we've been buried, but what if, like a seed, we've been planted? And having been planted, we grow to become a mighty tree. Now, open your eyes. Open your eyes to this way of viewing life. Come with me as we explore your true, infinite, eternal nature. This is Grief to Growth, and I am your host, Brian Smith. Hey there, everyone. Welcome to Grief to Growth, and I'm your host, Brian Smith. And whether you're brand new to the show or you've been walking this path with me for a while, I'm truly glad that you're here. This podcast is about navigating life's deepest challenges and discovering the truths that give us meaning. Together, we explore the mysteries of existence and who we are, where we came from, why we're here, and where we're going next. Now, today's guest brings a truly extraordinary perspective to these questions. I'm talking with Rachel Corpus, and Rachel is a conscious channel, a spiritual teacher, and the podcast host of Angel Talk. But here's the thing, Angel doesn't just talk to angels, she is one. She describes herself as an actual angel in human form, born into this life with the ability to see beyond the veil and connect with angels, ascended masters, people who have crossed over, and even high vibrational extraterrestrial beings. So in this episode, we're going to explore her journey as an angel in a human body, what that means to her and how it shaped her path. We'll talk about things like soul contracts, the multiverse, and what it means to live in alignment with Source. We'll even touch on questions that stir debate in spiritual circles, like, for example, can angels incarnate? And are all divine beings in disguise? Or are we all divine beings in disguise, I should say. Sorry about that. Rangel's story challenges traditional paradigms and invites us to remember our own divine nature. She will also share how we can all access our intuitive gifts, match frequencies to communicate with spirit, and support the next generation of awakened children. And who knows, spirit might just have a message for us during the show. So stick around to the end and let's continue the conversation at grieftogrowth.com/community, where you can share your thoughts, connect with other listeners, and interact with me directly. So with that, let's step into the light and welcome Rachel Corpus.
Hi. Hi, everyone. Thanks for having me on your show.
Yeah, so glad to have you here, Rachel. I know you're an angel in human form. So tell me what that
Yeah.
means.
Well, you said it pretty well. My my gooiness inside, my spirit inside is from the Seraphim realm.
Hmm.
So what you see, this stuff is human, just like you. And like many of us who are on the spiritual path, I am aware that where I came from is not human. And when I was 4, my family and I were in a car accident. We were hit by a drunk driver, and I had a near death experience.
Hmm.
When I was taken to the other side, my personal angels, my guardians, who I had been seeing my whole life, all 4 years at that point, they said, well, by the way, you're from this place. You are a seraphim. And they showed me all around, and it was beautiful. It was an interesting, I mean, that's interesting in itself, isn't it? But
Hmm.
I had two consciousness going on. I had my 4-year-old self, and there was this older woman's voice, and I thought, well, who is that? It was me. It was my voice. This old crackly voice. It was mine. I had just never heard it before because it was my grown-up voice. I said, "Oh, that's you, and this is really where you're from." And I had already been a psychic child, and I was used to that. I didn't know any different. They said, when you're not in a body, this is where you live. And the seraphim realm is where all the unborn babies are. And it's where we prepare our lives before we come here,
Hmm.
or wherever we're going to incarnate. There's so many places we can go. We make all those pre-life plans, all that juiciness. And they laid it out for me. they said, well, they're working on your body back on Earth. We have a little bit of time here. And so we're going to walk you around and show you what it's like here and remind you of what your mission is. Now you can complete this mission here, or you can go back. And my four-year-old self was coming in and out and asking questions like, well, if I stay here, will I still be able to play? Will I have friends? Can I get dirty? It was so clean there.
Hmm.
They said, oh yes, it's play. It's all play.
Hmm.
Whether you stay or go back, it's really all play. Okay. Well, ultimately, I really don't remember making a choice. I just remember thinking how sad my mama would be if I didn't go back. And as soon as I had that recollection, I was smack back in my body. But then I remember them telling me what my mission was, and some things about the earth, some things that are happening now, and what will happen.
Hmm.
And that's what my life has been like, just helping people come back to themselves, come back to source, come back to God, and learning that inside all of us there is an origin story that is much deeper than what we remember. And I think some people remember it, especially our kids coming in. They know there's something more to them, and
Mm-hmm.
we're waking up to that beautiful truth. Just we're all immigrants. We're all
Yeah.
spirit immigrants. It's beautiful.
Yeah. So you mentioned the seraphim, and for people that don't know what a seraphim is, could you explain what that is?
We're the ones that are the big wheel of eyes. People think of angels. Angels are also not religious. We are beings made of energy, and we remain neutral. We're beings made of love.
Mm-hmm.
And there are different levels or realms of angels. It's not really a hierarchy. We're not less than or better than each other. We just have different neighborhoods. The seraphim, when we're in our traveling form, we're a wheel of eyes because we're observers, we're watchers, and we take that information back to the realm, and we utilize that to advise all those who are about to incarnate. So we're always watching, always absorbing. When we are here, we take on a form that is gentle and fits in easily. I could be your neighbor, could be your sister, right? I
Mm-hmm.
fit in easily. Um, and angels are really good at doing that. So, sometimes angels can be in the form of an animal. Angels can be invisible. There are different types of angels. There can be earth angels, which are hybrid angels, where one parent was a human and one parent was an angel. That goes back from the time around Noah.
Mm-hmm.
And there are cherubim. There are angels of dominion. There are so many different types of angels, and I'm just one of many. Just
Mm-hmm.
like there are star seeds, there are elementals. There's so many different types of beings on
Mm-hmm.
this beautiful planet that walk amongst us. Some who know who they are, some who are waking up to who they are, some who will never know, not in this lifetime.
Wow.
Mhm.
So as human beings, what's the difference, I guess, between an angel and a human being? When you're in the human form, you still have the angelic essence, as you said. So how are
Yeah.
humans different?
Well, that's a beautiful question. My origin, where I was created, is the angelic realm, the seraphim realm.
Mm-hmm.
So when my human body dies, that's where I go. Whoosh, right back. So if someone were, and we're all created with God, everyone starts there, source, God. And I use that word interchangeably, but it's the same source, love. And then where I was first created, that source love happens to be the angelic realm. Now, someone else who is in a human form, their first origin might be on Pleiades.
Mm-hmm.
Therefore, they are Pleiadian. Their origin is Pleiadian. So the difference between me being an angel is if you were to take my physical form off and go into my spirit stuff, my spirit origin, you would see that my spirit DNA is angelic. But if you were to look deeper, 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 you'd see that I look exactly the same as you because we all look the same as God. We're
Mm,
all the same as God.
yeah.
There really is no difference. But if we're to get, we put labels on it, which the angels really don't like. God, I don't think God cares. But yeah, I'm from the angelic realm. And I just happen to be wearing this costume. It's a Rachel costume. And the way I got here was through my mom and dad that I chose on purpose because they were going to give me the best experience.
Hmm.
And that's the vehicle I got here. I'm not an earth angel because both of my parents are human. That's just the vehicle I got here. But my spirit is full angel.
Okay. And so
Yeah.
we all choose to come here, and
Yes.
and most of us have this what we call a veil. We don't remember. We don't remember where we were. We don't remember where we came from, where we're going. We don't know why we're here. And it's interesting because even sometimes when people have near-death experiences, they'll be shown some of that, and then the veil's put back on, and they say, "I
Mhm.
remember I came back, but I don't remember why." But you were allowed to remember why.
Yes. Um, I've had four near death experiences, four total. So every time I went back, I was shown a little bit more.
Hmm.
And what I forgot was unveiled again. And we always have choice, we always have free will. And throughout my life, I did choose to, I don't want to say forget it, but I chose to fold it in, is the way I say it. I chose to fold it in. And when I folded it in, it went into hibernation. I
Hmm.
always knew it was there. And when I say it, I'm talking about my abilities, my my recognition that I'm an angel. And my angel recognition comes with a lot of attributes. I have connection to all my other lifetimes. So I remember what that data or those memories are, whether they're Earth lifetimes or other planetary lifetimes, because that gives me wisdom to be a helper or a messenger. That's my
Hmm.
job.
Right.
And that's a lot to carry when one is in eighth grade,
Yeah.
right? And
Yeah.
I just want to know if I stink.
Yeah. Yeah.
So if I'm standing at my locker, I would just say, no, I don't want that. And I could feel it lift off of me, almost like goosebumps, and it would go
Hmm.
like an essence. And I would not need to tell it to come back. I have personal guardian angels because we all have personal guardian angels, even angels. They would know when to bring it back.
Okay.
And there were years there where it didn't come back. And then maybe it would lightly come back if I was by myself. And maybe I was going to the bathroom at a sleepover. Oh, there they are again. There's my intuition. But it
Hmm.
was so gentle because I needed that time just to be a kid
Yeah.
or just to get through a divorce. Something, I'm here to be human.
Hmm.
That's why we're here. I'm here for the human experience. And as I integrate into my healing purpose, well, I am allowed to remember who I am as an angel because I'm also here to help. But we're never here as a sacrifice. We're here to live in peace and enjoy, and we're really not here to struggle. So I'm not here to be punished or anything. I'm also here to learn and to vibe with everybody. So I think when people hear that I'm an angel, sometimes they hear that, oh, you must have had it easy. No, or they think the other way around, boy, that must have been really hard for you because this earth is so hard and you're so bright and shiny. No, not really. Um, I've I've had a pretty typical life, and my angels have been really good about helping me turn off and on my gifts and abilities as needed.
Hmm.
Mhm.
So I guess we have different purposes, but what is just the purpose of Earth in general? Incarnating. This, as you said, this can be a very difficult experience. And I know for some people, when they hear oh, you chose to come here and you're here for a reason, they'll say, I would never have chosen this. So what is
Oh,
that?
my friend, Earth, Earth has a spotlight in the galaxy,
Mm,
and all eyes have been on Earth since the time of Atlantis. We've always been watching Earth. And there are so many people. Gosh, I even like froze up our connection there. Everybody's listening. The Galactic Council is listening to our conversation right now.
mm,
I'm just going to let them like get comfy in their chairs. Everybody like muted their mics and listened.
mhm.
And they're all like talking to me. I'm going to do well, everybody. Just chill out. They know I go rogue sometimes. Chill out, everybody. I know what I'm supposed to say. Trust. Eyes have been on Earth for a really long time, since the age of Atlantis. And as Earth grows, as Earth expands, I want me to say expands, as Earth expands, the rest of the galaxies expand. What we're doing right now counts.
Mm,
And so every one of us who is incarnated right now, we didn't just win a lottery or anything. We rallied for it. We said, well, I want to be there. I want to be there. And those who are dying right now, they are not dying passively. They're saying, I want to help from the other side. This is all choice. This is sacred choosing right now.
mm,
And so, Earth in general is a classroom. We get to learn. We get to learn through play. And when they say play, it's not like Tinker Toys, it's like experience. We learn through experience. We get to build the tower, look at it, knock it down, rebuild it. And through that process, do it without judgment
mm.
to the best of our ability.
Right,
Mhm.
right.
And every time we do that, we grow, we expand, and the rest of the galaxy does as well. There's something really interesting about Earth that the other planets don't have. It's an energetic resource because the way we function as humans, we have this like disco ball effect where the mosaics of our disco ball, all those mirrors, we function different as humans. And I believe it's because what they show me is by the time we incarnate here on Earth, we have been to so many other planets. This is like our capstone. This is our
Mm,
cumulative final exam. Not like it's our ending, but if you're here, you've been to so many other planets. And we're not being studied, we're being honored. And if people are here and they're on the struggle bus, you're a graduate student.
mm,
You're not new, you're a graduate student. If you have an easy life, you have incarnated very much. You're coming in and you're just getting your feet wet.
mm.
And we're seeing Earth shift the paradigm. So we're moving into the crystalline, the higher state, and all eyes are on us for that as well.
Yeah, I could say as we're recording this, it's April 8th, 2025, and we are going through, I think, from all perspectives, some changes, some shifts. I think I don't think putting politics aside, I don't think anybody would disagree. We're going through some shifts. You've been shown some things about where we are and where we're going. What can you help us with?
Mm-hmm. Well, let's think about a year ago, we had the great eclipse and timelines. We could call it the multiverse. All of these timelines that were separate started to collude and come together like a pack of Twizzlers,
Mm,
started to squish together. And so every person here, every person, every being, even trees, they have different versions of them that are in different timelines. So you and I, Brian, we're having a conversation right now. This is our core timeline, but there are other versions of us where you're wearing a blue sweatshirt. I have long hair. Um, and those are on different frequencies, different channels. And those timelines had separation between them. But after that eclipse happened, all of those other timelines started to move together and have less space. So everything that we were learning in those other versions of us started to affect this core version. And so we've had a full year of that depth, that wisdom coming into this one. We've also had, I think, intuitive people feeling that and trying to push them back out.
Hmm.
And it can't happen. They will all, those timelines, once they come together, once that pack of Twizzlers comes together, it's just going to make a big fat Twizzler, one big timeline.
Hmm.
And that's the way it's supposed to be, because that one big timeline is the oneness, it's the consciousness. We're coming back to it. And what they showed me when I was a child and what I see coming to fruition now is that when we live in that collective coming together, we need less. Actually, we desire less. We don't even think of wanting 4 cars, a big house. The whole paradigm is shifting. And so the American dream is changing to the simplicity of just want fresh air. I want a place to spread my arms. I desire safety of my spirit. I want to be able to speak my mind and argue in safety. I want to be able to articulate. And that's what's coming back. And actually being able to support each other and say to your neighbor, I have extra. Would you like some? Yes, and I'll take this in return. Thank you. Would you like to eat together? They showed me that. And it's not going to be an easy road getting there, but it's not going to be through war. It's going to be through creating new ways to communicate, because we've been telling each other that we are separate from for so long.
Right.
And if I could kind of put that in real world terms, we're going to be seeing we're going to be grieving. Honestly, we're going to be grieving because we're going to see a lot of people that we counted on disappointing us in the next couple of years. People that we saw one side of them in the media for so long, because it's easy to do that. It's
Right.
easy to present one side of us. We're going to see them disappointing us because there's going to be things that they will tell us, even personally, this has been a part of my life, I'm going to tell you. But the thing about that is these same people will say, now that you know that about me, here's my completeness. Can you forgive me? And can I still lead you? And sometimes the people will say yes, and sometimes the people will say no.
Hmm.
I'm not speaking politically, I'm just speaking in general. We'll have a more sense of, okay, let's just accept people. Let's be real with people and not cancel everybody. Let's just be more realistic and more loving, less judgmental. That's what we're getting to. People will not be able to hide secrets anymore and traffic each other. Um, we're getting back to the bare bones. It
Mm-hmm.
will not be the Wild West like everybody thinks. It won't be.
Well, that's comforting to hear, and yeah, I hear that. Well, you mentioned, I think you said star seeds, and I know we've heard about these some different children being born with seems like more abilities, intuitive abilities. Is
Yeah.
that a shift we can expect to continue? And that I would think that would make it harder to keep secrets as well.
Yeah, I mean, these kids just see through everything. And not only will children be born with their abilities, when they come in, we're born with their abilities, they're also coming in to recharge their caretaker's abilities. So imagine there is a teacher who is in his mid 50s, okay? And there's a child that comes in, and that child is in preschool. That child may have a contract with that 55-year-old teacher. And that child and that teacher, that child brings that teacher's gifts out of hibernation. But this time it's not through challenging that teacher. This time it's through the sound of his voice.
Mm.
That child just through singing, through the goodbye song, or through touch, now is able to use sound codes in his voice.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be through discipline anymore. That's the old way. It's not through fighting anymore.
Yeah.
It's through peace. The new way is peace.
Interesting. Have you heard of this is kind of a way off this or kind of an aside, but have you heard of the podcast called the telepathy tapes?
Yes.
Okay, so I've been hearing there's like things come to me kind of in waves. I interviewed a couple of people that have autistic children. One was actually a teacher, as you mentioned, and the 6-year-old boy came into her class who was somewhat verbal, and he became her teacher. And then the
Yeah.
telepathy tapes have come out. So we're seeing these children with these abilities that are just like mind blowing. So is
Yes.
that some of what you're talking about?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. And more of a conversation between teachers, parents, caregivers, children. There's going to be more roundtable discussions, and I'm seeing more teaching at home, more collaborating at home. And that public school structure is not going away, but it's shifting.
Hmm.
And it'll take a long time for that to get settled into something that people are happy with. And I don't know if they'll ever be happy with it, but it's changing from where it is because that structure is outdated. It simply, just like the school structure is always changing to match technology, our brains are the highest form of technology, and schools must always change to match our brains, just like churches must always change to match our brains, but they haven't changed in so long.
Right.
And I see there is a whole chapter of angels that are instructed to help the churches change.
Hmm.
There's a whole chapter of angels that are instructed to help the schools change. Um, and it will be. I've seen it my whole life. There's
Well,
a whole chapter of angels that help the wars change.
that's really comforting to hear because again, I think a lot of us feel like it feels like things are just really out of control right now, and I think we feel like we're alone and we're on the verge of something, and it could go right, but it could also go very wrong. So one of the things I want to do with people is help people understand who we are, why we're here, and the fact that we're really not alone.
That's right. We are not alone. And we are as angels. And when I say they, I'm talking about the Starseeds, the galactic councils. One thing that we are committed to doing is helping the veil get thinner. And as people, humans are helping that as well through feeling their feelings authentically and not spiritually bypassing.
Mm.
But once the feelings are felt and realizing, oh, I have a part to play in this, and moving through those feelings and taking an active part in their lives and realizing they're not victims, that's actually thinning the veil. And so realizing that they can see their ancestors, their parents, their grandparents, their angelic helpers, and realizing that they're not alone, that's helping so much because we are not alone. And also, we have our God version of ourselves. We have our higher selves, that we are not stuck living with our ego. Our ego is our best friend, but sometimes our ego can really keep us stuck, especially if we have a history in this lifetime of survival or limiting beliefs.
Mm.
So, thinning that veil through authentic living, and again, not bypassing feelings, but also not letting them sabotage us, is good, healthy work.
Yeah, that's and you mentioned earlier, and I do want to kind of touch on this or kind of reemphasize this point. You said, people that have what we would call difficult lives
Mhm.
are more advanced, and people who are it seems like they're just kind of breezing through. A lot of times we could be very jealous of that.
Yeah.
But my experience has been I don't see those people really developing a depth of character like people that have those difficult lives. So, do we plan these lives that we have?
Yes.
Because I've doing this podcast and just talking to people. I mean, some people just seems like it's just one thing after another, just all the time, and people it's very easy to fall into victim mode and say, "What did I did wrong? Why am I being punished?"
Mm. I have never been shown that life is a punishment. There is a degree of karma, but that's more of I can even smell the static of karma. That feels more technical. When it comes to planning one's life, that is about learning. That's about experience. And there are two main categories. It is what do you wish to learn and how do you wish to contribute?
Hmm.
Um, I've never been part of a pre-life planning meeting where I've heard, hey, you've got to bend over and take this because you did this. I've never been part of a conversation like that. Never heard that before. Now I do know that on the other side, when we complete our lives, I am aware that there is a structure of healing because there is no hell. That construct was created by religion. There is a program on the other side, if you want to call it that, where if part of your learning in the earth plane was to create havoc. So, one of my examples for this is Adolf Hitler. When he crossed over, I know that something he was offered and accepted was that his afterlife was to experience everything that he caused. And he knew that before he incarnated. He knew that his afterlife would be heinous.
Hmm.
And of course, when he was born, he didn't remember that. He was just born as a child, and all of that we know about his life. But when he crossed over, he had his life review, and then almost immediately, he went into a dimension where he was taken and the Holocaust was created and he was a victim. But in that creation, he didn't know it was made up. He was a child and then he was a mother and then he was a soldier.
Hmm.
So I do know that, but it's not as a form of punishment. It's learning. Did it feel like punishment? I don't know. I mean, I'd have to ask him. And I don't know if he's still doing that. I really don't know.
Hmm.
But I always found that interesting.
Now that we've heard about the life review that people go through, where we sometimes
Yeah.
experience what we have done to others. But frankly, that does sound like a form of almost hell for someone who committed as much evil, to use that word, as
Yeah.
Hitler did. Um, so that's an interesting concept. But
Mhm.
yeah, that's really something to think about, I guess.
Yeah. I mean, if you could even utilize that as a form of how can I sit and think about that and take away judgment? Could you even look at his afterlife plan and look at, is it possible to look at that not as punishment? I
Right.
don't know if I can. I don't
Yeah.
know. But I mean, one of our goals here when we incarnate as people is to learn non-judgment.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's really hard to do when you look at someone like Adolf.
Yeah, when I talk to people and I say there's no hell and there's no punishment, everybody always goes to Hitler, right? We always jump
Mhm,
right to the
mhm.
worst possible thing example
Yes,
we can think of,
yes,
and because he's a fascinating test case, because
right.
we all want to believe that there's some sort of karma, if you want to use that term, or some sort of punishment that if you give this, you get that. But we all make mistakes. We all fall
Yeah,
short.
but
Um,
there's no punishment.
right,
It's all healing.
right. So this is when you before we started, you asked me how my day was going, and I told you not so great. Last night I had a friend pass away, a really good friend, just like suddenly.
Oh, I'm
And
so sorry.
um, so as I was thinking about doing this, or not thinking about, but knowing I had this coming up with you today, and I was asking some of these questions, I was thinking about his wife, who's, I mean, they're only like they're both 60. He would be 60 in a few weeks, and she's just had terrible life. Both of her parents have passed, and sisters, and then their husband, like suddenly yesterday. So when someone's going through that, and again, I've talked to people that have gone through similar tragedies. It's really hard to hold on to some of these loftier concepts, like we plan this is all for the greater good. Um, are there any words you could offer to someone as they're going through that to hold on to?
Hmm. Well, when I talk to God, I get the message a lot that it doesn't go over well when people say it was God's plan
Mhm.
or that God called people home. God's not really about that. I mean, when we walk into a body, these bodies have an expiration date. We're here for an amount of time and then it's done. Um, and I'm hearing the message that it's not always about what we say to our friends when they're grieving. It's about just being there. That there's really not much we can say. It's just about showing up,
Right.
and that it can be messy. Really, just show up, because those few beginning hours and days, the energy when the loved one is walking over, the person who is still here, the loved one who's still here, they're also feeling that crossing over.
Mm.
They're like standing in the doorway. So if you're the friend, it's like you're holding the door on a really windy day. That's your job. Then no one's going to hear what you say anyway. You're just holding the door. So the thing you can say is, "Do you need me right now?" Or "How do you need me?" Or just nothing. Just let them know you're there.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm hearing from. I'm hearing that from Archangel Gabriel right now, who helps us with our communication. And then there are higher level ideas that just aren't always appropriate to share right away. Like,
Right.
yes, they still go on, but it's hard because their bodies aren't here. And those things can be shared later. Um, and that sometimes spirit will communicate right away, and it means that it's good news. I'm communicating because I'm on my way over, so yes, lights will flicker, things like that. But just be present with the person who's grieving. Just be present. Don't worry so much about what you're going to say, and don't get religious on them, and even don't get too spiritual. Just be present. Let your spirit be with their spirit. Thank you, God. Let your spirit be with their spirit.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah, yeah, thank you. For the person who's making that transition suddenly, and that was the experience of my daughter also. She was 15, 15 and a half. Um, can you share some of what it's like to, like, you're in the body and then you're out of the body.
I love her. This is your daughter?
Yes, yeah.
And when did this happen?
It'll be 10 years ago in June.
Okay. Well, she still dances.
That makes sense.
Well, she wants to say to everyone that they're they're coached on the other side about how to come in. When she passed, she didn't hold back from coming in and sitting right next to you, holding you, even though it it sparked your grieving. Your angel said, "Don't worry about it. Come on in."
Mm,
And what this did was it helped your personal intuition blossom. So you knew when she was there. And your grief was dense. So you might not have always felt that felt that. And you might not have always, she says, you might not have always felt that it was me because you were grieving. You might have just thought you were sad, but it was me.
mm,
But what happened was when you'd think of me, it was me.
yeah.
And so it opened up clairvoyance. It was your clairvoyance that expanded. And so she wants to say to the listeners, when you lose someone, you don't have to worry so much about how they come in, how we come in. Your angels, your non-human helpers, they manage that. So we will come in. Don't worry, even if it makes you sad. And then there's somebody else coming in with her that says, and if there's someone that was abusive, your angels won't let them come in. Um, they're good at managing that. Someone
Mm,
that hasn't done their healing work yet.
mm,
That would be the exception. Someone passes and it wasn't quite right. They wouldn't have. There's boundaries there.
right.
Yeah. And then with your daughter, also, she's showing me how much she's developed over there and how she has a career and how she's grown a few inches and how she changes her hair sometimes and how it goes like that. But she doesn't always like it to go quick because she does like to sit there. She's like touching my hair. It makes my scalp itch. Sorry. She's always touching she likes to go like this. She's really good at stuff like that.
Mm, yes, yes, very.
Really good at that. She
Yeah,
smells really good too. But she doesn't like fake scents like Bath and Body Works. That bothers her.
yeah, yeah,
She likes natural, or maybe it's more expensive scents. I don't know.
yeah. That sounds about right. Yeah. So we worry about our loved ones that cross over, right? Were they
Mhm.
alone? Were they scared?
Mm,
Um, I wasn't able to hold their hand as they were crossing. You know,
yeah.
things like that come up. How can we put people's mind at ease about that transition for them?
It's really hard for us because when we're in this physical body, our eyes cannot see the frequency of spirit. We can't see what's going on in the room.
Right.
But I want to tell you, I can, and I can see. I work with people who are passing a lot, and I work with people who have passed, and I can see when someone is passing or about to pass, the whole room is filled with people who are ready for that moment. Even if the person doesn't know they're about to pass, your angels do, and they have the right people there ready to walk you over. You never, no one ever passes alone. No one. It has not ever, ever happened. There's always someone to walk you over. And when you're planning your life, you actually are matched with a guide that's going to walk you over. And that's someone that you will know when you open your eyes as spirit. You'll know who that person is. And there's
Mm-hmm.
usually someone there that has passed before you that you'll know. So it's a definitely someone that you'll know from this lifetime, and then someone that you'll remember that, oh, I've known you from before, and your heart will remember them. So it could be
Mm-hmm.
an ancestor, someone from another life. You also start to remember your angels. And usually people will see, if they're Buddhists, they'll see the Buddha or they'll see Jesus. And that depends on if they're more spiritual or religious. Sometimes that happens if that's what they have planned out.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm. We
Awesome.
never pass alone, ever.
Yeah, that's good to know because I've talked to I talked to a lot of parents who have lost children and others, and that's our human minds always go to the worst, right? Were they scared? Were they alone? And I know from what you said, and I know from talking to so many other people that had shared the experience that you have, that people don't pass alone and that we're okay. And
Yeah.
it's so I appreciate you sharing that. Um, when people or as we're making this transition back to the transition that we're making here on Earth, how can we best prepare ourselves for what we're getting ready to go through? What kind of work should we be doing?
It's time, it's time to recognize when we start to focus too much on what's outside of us. That's been promoted so much. What do we need to look at? What do we need to focus on? Notice that and then go in. We don't have to ignore what's outside of us. We don't have to ignore the news. You don't have to ignore the latest awesome podcast or the books that are out. That's all good stuff. And it's reasonable to ask our guides, did you send this to me? If it's in your frame of reference, it's there on purpose. Take
Mhm.
it as a nudge. But nothing outside of you is as important as what's within, what you came in with. And it's time to tap back in and go into that Christ consciousness, that source consciousness, because it's everything that you need is already within you. And to tap into that, create a meeting with yourself. And if sitting still is hard, engage the body, sway a little bit, hum, do something somatic, exhale loudly, lay on your back, put your legs up the wall, listen to ocean sounds, go on a walk, lay on the grass,
Mhm.
crunch something, eat some popcorn, do something. But every day, sit with your spirit. Invite in the extraterrestrials, get weird with it. Invite in your angels. Um, do a deep dive into YouTube. Ask your angels, use the algorithm. What would you like me to learn today?
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah,
Start exploring. And even though that's outside of you, after you listen to it and watch it, then you go inside. What does that mean for me?
mhm,
And then the other thing that would be really lovely, my favorite practice, is to put an eye mask on, listen to some brown noise or ocean waves or something, and then just watch the back of my eyelids like I'm in a dark room, because that's the quantum space. That's that molecular space that we go to when we're in travel. And that's what the angels call like the airport waiting room for the universe. You could see faces, you could see neon lights, you can see stars, constellations, but go in that space and just play, just watch. It is like VR, but it's a real place. And just go there. You can connect with your daughter there. You could say, all right, I want to see what's your hair look like today.
mhm.
Okay. You just get your hair done. Let me see it. And sometimes you'll see a lot, sometimes you won't because it's a live space. And remember, I want people to hear that when they go into this space, if you don't see anything, Don't think to yourself, don't default to, oh, I didn't do a good job. No, you're working with spirit. They might be busy. Maybe
Mm.
they're at the spiritual Costco or something. Don't overthink it. Try again later.
Yeah, thank you. That's awesome. So, let's talk about your podcast. What will people find out when they check out your podcast? What will they hear?
Oh, thanks for asking me about that. I love my podcast because well, it's called Angel Talk.
Hmm.
And when I first started it, I was just talking about spiritual stuff. And then I think it was maybe this January, I decided I'm going to start telling people I'm an angel. I'm not going to hold that back. So, really, if you listen to it from the beginning, you're getting my journey
Mm.
as a spiritual person
Hmm.
because I've always been really adamant about I'm going to tell people that I'm a psychic, even though I live in a small town. And I've talked about what that's like.
Yeah, yeah,
And I'm pretty candid. I cuss sometimes on my podcast. I'm I talk about my kids and it's just I really love it because I feel like when you're growing spiritually, it's nice to be able to put on your headphones and listen to a friend talk about their journey and nobody knows you're listening to it. That's so nice. Versus, and this is just my story, but when I was growing up, I didn't feel like I had a lot of privacy at church because if I had an aha moment and I was like, oh, everybody was looking at me like, what's wrong with that girl? But in this format, it's just so lovely and private. So I'm
mm,
really passionate about it. So I'd invite people to listen, gosh, to all spiritual podcasts, but I've got one too. It's called Angel Talk. And
yeah,
if you listen to it just episodically, if you just click on one, your angels will know just what you need to listen to. Or you can listen to it from the beginning to current and you can kind of get the vibe for my journey. And I have a lot of people come on that are experts that share their wisdom, and it's just lovely. And that's just wherever podcasts are found.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's awesome, and I wanted to tell you, I appreciate the work that you're doing, and I appreciate you putting yourself, out there and taking the risks that somebody of us won't take. There's this stigma in our society about being woo woo or
Yeah.
saying stuff that that's really out there. And what I have found is by doing it, it gives other people permission to be themselves. And after my daughter passed away, and I started getting into all this stuff, and and I started with the books and the podcasts, et cetera. I mean, I've got the neighbors I was just telling you about, the one that passed away. There's a group of six couples, and we've known each other for over close to 30 years, over 20 years. Most of us have known each other that amount of time. And I would start sharing stuff with them, and then they like, oh yeah, I have prophetic dreams too, or that my when my grandfather died, he came and visited me, and I would say, I've known you for over 20 years, and you've never told me any of this stuff. So
Yes.
by you doing this, it gives the rest of us permission to say, okay, yeah, I'm having the same experience.
Isn't that something? I think we all do. We all have something, even if we've forgotten it. We
Hmm.
all have something magical, something spiritual that is going on or that has happened that connects us. Yeah, I love that so much.
Yeah, I absolutely believe we do too. And it's interesting when I talk to people and they say things like, well, I'm not getting any signs or any synchronicities and stuff. And my thought is, yeah, you're getting them, you're just not noticing them. Because spirit
Yes.
does speak to us in different ways. And I
Yes.
love the exercises you gave. And when I talk to people about meditating, sometimes people will push back and they say, well, I can't sit still. And I love the alternatives that you gave. Go for a walk or do something somatic, even rock
Yeah.
back and forth. And I've seen channelers that do that when they communicate with spirit, they will actually rock back and forth. There's something
Hmm.
about engaging the body that by a lateral motion that seems to help make the connection.
Yes. When I gave myself permission to, my word is be weird, because one time I read the first definition of weird, which is 1 foot on earth and 1 foot in heaven. And I thought,
Mm.
well, if that doesn't describe me, I don't know what it is,
Yeah.
what does. So when I gave my permission to get weird, and to love people, but not care what they think, but to still love them, my life opened up.
Mm-hmm.
So I can love them, but I'm not attached to their response to me. It doesn't matter. They're not living in my hologram. They can
Mm-hmm.
be part of it, but I get to choose if I invite them in or not. It has totally changed my life. And I truly mean, like, the universe shifted when if you really believe that what you put out you get back. I've seen that in action because I no longer attract clients that are skeptical. I no longer have people that are like, oh, she's weird. I mean, I'm sure I do, but I don't feel it.
Right.
I don't see it
Right.
because I just don't align with it. That frequency is here and I'm like right here or right here. I just don't align with it. I'm on a different channel.
Right. Yeah.
Somebody who's not spiritual would just say, well, you're just ignoring it. Fine. Fine. You call it what you want. I'm going to say I'm on a different vibrational frequency.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. And it's really interesting, as we talk about, again, what's going on in the world, there's always been, I hate to use the words good and bad, but we call good and bad. There's always been a whole lot of stuff going on in the world. And what we see is what we look at. We all, as I'm sitting in this room, I can choose to look at the printer over here to my right, or I can choose to look at the monitor. It doesn't mean that the printer went away. I'm just not focusing on that. And
Right.
when people say, the world is going to hell, or the world is getting worse and everything's getting worse, I'm like, no, it's not. It's really not. Are there bad things going on? Yes. But is the world getting worse? I don't believe that it is.
No, it's not. And in fact, if you, if we can, how do I say this? If we can not look at all the quote unquote bad stuff that's happening and keep our eyes on the love, but not ignore the bad stuff that's happening, like
Right.
still do our part, be active with it, but not perseverate and like cling to it and be victims with it, but keep our energy in the business of who am I and why am I here, and not get sidetracked and detoured into victim. But there's that balance between not like puppy dogs and rainbows. Oh, we're here and this doesn't exist. But it's like that balance, right?
Right. Exactly.
But it's like, you're right. The printer's still there and it's always going to be there, but you're looking at your monitor.
Hmm.
That's a great example. War is still going to be there because it's Earth. And collectively, we did construct war here on Earth because it's something that allows us to learn.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
we also don't have to say, hey, we're just going to be here and let's look at war. That'd be a pretty boring interview if you looked at my profile the whole time.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right?
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I think that's an excellent point, and hoping we're helping people understand, because I don't want to encourage people to bypass in any way.
Right.
That's not what we're here about. We're not here to say these things don't exist, and I want to be engaged,
Yeah.
and I want to bring love to it. And a lot of times I hear people say, "Well, there's nothing that I can do," and I'm like, "There is something you can do. You can always bring love to the situation," and that
Yes.
actually is a really powerful thing.
Yeah. And people mishear that sometimes as like sending love and light. When you have aligned with your spirituality and you send love, you send energy, that is an action. If you're giving yourself permission to really send your energy, that is something you're doing and it sends something.
Hmm.
Just like when your daughter pops into your head, she is in the room with you. There are times when she was alive and she would walk in the room and you felt it before you saw her.
Hmm.
That's her energy, right? She's still there. Well, that's the same energy form that you and I can send to Ukraine.
Right.
Same thing. Now, I know that I cannot I have 3 children. I have the funds that I have. I want to be safe. I cannot get on a plane and go to Ukraine and fight. I can't. That's not my life. I can do what I can do. And I know that I'm a really strong spiritual person. So can I sit and send strong intention to Ukraine? And does that work? Yes. And the intention, if I sent it to Ukraine and my default intention is, well, I don't know if that's going to work. Well, it's not going to be as strong. But if I send that and I know it's going to work and I wrap that up and I seal it tight, and I also say, okay, Archangel Michael, who actually leads an army of love for God, he's the warrior. And I send it with him. And I can even imagine like every arrow of that army is going to send my prayer out or my intention. And I have all those arrows at once. Yeah, that's going to work.
Yeah, thank you.
All about the intention.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, we're coming to the end of our time. I've really enjoyed talking to you today. Any
Too.
last messages from you or any of the other beings that you would like to speak through today?
They really want to hear from everyone. They really do. So the extraterrestrials are inviting people to go out on their porches, out on their decks, and just look up at the stars. And they invite people to say, show show me some magic, show me that you're there, and watch for a star to glow, to move a little bit. They will show you that they're there because they are just like me. There are star beings that are in body that are here to help, but they're also watching. The angels are up there as well. Watch for the angels in cloud formations. Watch for plasmoids. They're actually, you can see the wheel of eyes. There's some seraphim that are, some of my seraphim family have been in the skies lately. Watch for them. And they're back to the message. They're just saying, make time to be with us. Sit with your spirit, connect inside. And then it's like, peek open and look for us. We're always showing signs. You're not alone. We love you. And the veil is very thin. You're surrounded. We're in every cell of your body. We're helping with every thought you have, and we're supporting you. Please don't think you're alone. We've got you.
Wow. Wow. Thank you, Rachel. Thank you. Well, that's it for me today. Have a great afternoon.
You too. Thanks, everybody.